everyone, welcome to my channel if you're new, or welcome back if you're not. So for today's video I have a foundation wear test on the very popular Dermacol foundation. So I will be applying this on camera, wearing it for the day, giving you updates and giving you my thoughts. So if you're new here, I just want to give you an idea of my preferences when it comes to foundations. I have oily skin, so I prefer something that's more mattifying and oil controlling, and I also love a good solid coverage. So according to the Dermacol website, the benefits of the foundation are that it's waterproof, hypoallergenic, for all skin types, it has SPF 30, it's preservative free, and the coverage is full/extreme with 50% pigments. And I purchased mine from notino.co.uk, N-O-T-I-N-O, and on there it is £8.90 per foundation. So this isn't my first time wearing this isn't a first impressions, but it will be my first wear test of it. I have tried it before, and while I love the coverage, I find it too dewy for my preferences. So if you saw my last foundation review, which was a little bit of a fail, the initial idea was to have one side where I just wear the foundation on its own and leave it wear throughout the day, and the other side to kind of wear it realistically so that I prime the skin and I can touch it up throughout the day. Because any foundation that I wear and that I just leave for the day, I'm like a grease ball. With some it's worse than others, but I just realistically do need to touch up, and I feel like I always need to give that disclaimer, but at the same time I don't want too many variables, so I'm going to try and do both. But I think on the side that I just have the foundation, I think I will just lightly set that to begin with, because that's what I've always done with these foundation reviews, just to give it some sort of chance, because I need to be fair to the foundation as well. So let's get into the foundation application. I'm going to use a flat top kabuki brush. This one is from Sigma. It is the F80, and I'm just squeezing out a little bit onto my palette, so just that much. And we're just going to go straight into my right side with the foundation. And this is in the shade number 218. So that has completely covered that side of my face, and I have a little bit left over. So what I'm going to do is actually use that under my eyes as a concealer. So I'm first just going to take a little bit of a corrector. This is the NYX Dark Circle Concealer, just to color correct it a little bit first. And then I'm just going to take what's left on my palette, which is just kind of a smearing, but just pick up the rest of that so we're not wasting any. Because you really only need to just touch your brush in it. And there we go, that's one side done. Once I have the two sides done, I'll give you close-ups as well. So then this is going to be the realistic side, and because number one, I'm oily skinned, and because number two, this is more of a dewy finish, that's really going to be focused on oil controlling. So I'm going to take a little bit of a primer. This is my Kiko matte face base, but this isn't too drying of like a matte primer. It's still quite wet, but I do find it helps just that little bit when it comes to controlling oil, at least for the first few hours. So I'm just going to give myself a little bit of that primer. And then what I'm going to do is powder before the foundation. So I'm using my favourite Rimmel Stay Matte in Transparent, and I'm going to take a powder brush and just press that over. So almost like I'm setting the primer, but it's just that extra barrier to control the oil from coming through the foundation. So now that our skin is nice and matte, let's go in with a little bit more of that foundation. So I'll squeeze out about the same amount and use the same brush. And I actually feel like that's covering better. It's not kind of sliding around as much as the other side, but I'm still able to blend it. It just stays then where I want it, because I've only used about half of that, and I feel like I'm pretty much covered, except for this little fecker who doesn't want to be concealed. So yeah, that side done. I feel like I didn't need as much of the product. It still looks like very little that's left, but I can see that that smearing is thicker than what was there before. And I wasn't really dipping back into it too much. So I'm going to do the same and just do that under eye with a little bit of the corrector and then a little bit of foundation. So yeah, with the other side, when I was doing this under eye concealer, I feel like I was picking up what was left on the palette, whereas I still had to be kind of sparing with what I was dipping my brush into there. I don't tend to like to cover up my beauty marks, so if you can still see them, that's not a testament to the coverage. I'm just taking what's left on the brush down onto the neck. And now before I do any setting, I'm going to give you a little bit of a closer look. So this side is just the foundation, no primer, no powder underneath. And this side is primed. So you can still see there's definitely a shine coming off the foundation. I think you can, I'm not sure if you can tell on camera that there is more of a shine coming off this side, just naturally, because we didn't do any priming. But yeah, for me, this kind of a dewy, shiny foundation would have very little chance of holding up throughout the day on me. So for that reason, we are going to set both sides with the same powder and the same brush. I'm going to come onto this side and set a little bit heavier, a little bit more realistic to what I would do. And then on this side, I am going to set it, but I'm not going to try and pile on the powder quite as much. I just want it to kind of dry down and be more similar to what it might be like on someone with kind of more normal skin, or maybe just less oily. Whereas this one, I'm really trying to hold it in place. I also make sure to set that under eye as well, because that will probably crease. No, it will crease. So I'll give you just another close-up of how it looks set with a transparent powder. So they both look like kind of a satin matte. The lights are still bouncing off because the light is so strong, but also because there is that little bit of a satinness to it. So I'm going to finish the rest of my makeup and I'll be back for our kind of starting look. So I'm back with my finished makeup and this is how we're looking. Again, I will insert some close-up pictures. So I'm loving this coverage. As I said in the beginning, full coverage is one of the things that I kind of look for in foundation. It looks flawless, it looks smooth, it's not emphasizing any sort of texture, it's not sitting weird on my skin. The big challenge for this will just be the wear time and my oils. So I really don't know how much of a difference there is going to be between the two sides. There'll probably be more of a difference once I touch up halfway through the day. And by touch up, I don't mean adding any more foundation, I just mean like powdering and controlling my oil. So I'm interested to see just how much of a difference having that primer and powder underneath will make on this side, but I would imagine it will up to a certain point. So yeah, it is now 1:05. I'd say I finished applying the foundation about a half an hour ago, kind of between 12:30 and 1:45. So I will aim to check back in around 4:30, 4:45, around that time. To give it 4 hours, we will powder this side and then continue on with the rest of the evening, and I'll check back at the end of the night after another kind of 4 or 5 hours. So yeah, that is the plan, and I will see you later on in the day. Hey guys, so I'm back for my update. It is now 4:53, so nearly 5:05. So it's been over the 4 hour mark, and this is how we're looking. So not bad, shiny, as predicted with my skin. I'm always going to be shiny. And just kind of for reference, if I was to put this on at 8 o'clock in the morning, so like if you're going to work, this is how I would look at kind of midday, lunchtime. So definitely shiny, but the coverage I think in general is still there. A little bit has kind of come off around my chin where I was leaning on my hand, and I have a fingerprint here. I don't know what I did, but I obviously must have leant and just wiped that one little streak. So I'll see if I can touch that up, because this is my touch-up side that I'm allowed to touch. Obviously my lip doesn't look great. I haven't touched any of the rest of my makeup, but you know what? I think I'm actually equally shiny at this point. I think the extra little bit of priming and setting that bit more, I think only goes so far. I could definitely see a difference the first hour anyway when I had looked in the mirror in that, but I think they can only hold off your oils or whatever your issue is for until a certain point. So this isn't terrible, it's just shiny, and that's all really. I think the makeup itself still looks good, and I think you can still see all my cheek products. I can still see my blush and my contour and my highlight, so it's held onto those products well as well. So what I'm going to do is just re-powder this side and then see if I can fix this little smudge here. So I'm still using that same translucent pressed powder. So it's not a loose powder that I'm like baking with. The creasing on my smile lines I think is a little bit heavier on this side, But to be honest, I think I crease a bit heavier on this side in general. So I'm just gonna do what I would normally do, which is just kind of pat that out and reset. And the under eyes isn't that bad from what I was expecting. That could also be because I have a shadow underneath there, kind of in those areas where I would crease, but there's like not much creasing there, which is super surprising because some even mattifying concealers will crease on me. So for a dewy foundation to look like that is great. So that's us mattified down, and let me just take a little bit more of my contour and see if I can fill in that smudge and a little bit of the blush. It's crazy what a difference. Okay, so this is kind of the reset stage where this is at over 4 hours of wear and this has been touched up after 4 hours of wear. So of course I'll include more pictures and I'll be back at the end of the evening. Hey, so I'm back for my final update. It is now 8:41. So it has been 8 hours of wear total. So I don't know if you can tell on camera, like with the lights, but I can definitely see a difference looking straight in the mirror. The shine that I'm getting off this side, obviously my oils have come through since I last touched up. But the shine that I'm getting here is more of like a satiny sheen. It's not overpowering, whereas this side looks like wet. And again, I'll give you close-ups, even though you mightn't want to see that up close, but again, I can still perfectly see my cheek products. And I actually don't think the creasing has worsened on the side that I didn't touch up on. I feel like it has kind of creased a little bit again on this side since I touched up this side, but not as bad as it was before. And overall, I think the coverage is still there. It's just obviously the shine in the oil. So I am actually really pleased with these results because on the couple of times that I had tried it, it wasn't for very long and I certainly wasn't monitoring kind of the wear time of it, but just in my initial reaction was like, oh, this is too dewy for me. I'm not going to be able to get away with it. But it was definitely controllable on the realistic side. So if you are interested in this product, I would definitely say if coverage is kind of your priority, then go for it. I really love the coverage of it. If you are oily like me, it's kind of up to you how much you want to have to touch up and all that. But for me, it's controllable. I'm willing to go for it for the sake of the coverage. And if you are dry and want that coverage as well, then definitely go for it. I think you will really like it. And then in general, if you prefer more of a natural foundation, this one might be for you, but it could be a good mixer to use with foundations when you do want to add that little bit more coverage. Or you could also like mix it with a moisturizer to bring down the coverage of it, and you can kind of control it that way too by mixing. So that's just like my opinions on it. I prefer a full coverage for wearing, but also because you can kind of adjust it down, whereas something that's sheer coverage, you can't always build it up. So yeah, this one definitely gets a thumbs up from me. Definitely a 1 anyway for the coverage, but maybe not 2 because of the oil controlling. So that about wraps it up from me for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have any comments, questions or requests, please leave them down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed, please do give it a thumbs up. That just lets me know that you like this kind of video, and it also helps out my channel a lot. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel to see more videos from me if you'd like to. So that's it from me for today. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.